Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Brooklyn Brewery, and they are out of Brooklyn, New York, and this is their Brooklyn Brown Ale. So this is American Brown Ale that comes in at 5.6% alcohol by volume, 30 IBUs at the time of review, and this can is approximately 2.5 months old. So full disclosure, I've had this one numerous times before, but the last time I had it, 2012, and a lot has changed in the past 12 years. My palate is definitely one of those, so I kind of want to revisit this one and review it. Now, I will say that I found this one to be decent back in the early 2010s. However, my preference is to English-style brown ales and not American-style brown ales, so I just feel like the English style just is more me, a little bit more maltier. The balance is there. These are a little bit more hop forward. Now, I haven't had a ton of American brown ales because they're not one of my favorite styles, over the past 10 plus years. However, we're going to give this one a proper and honest review. So I'm going to pour it in the glass here and see what we got going on here. So that's kind of the reason I picked this one up to review as a shelfie beer for the month of May 2024, is I wanted to see if this was better than I remember it being, based on my palate being in a way different place than it was back in 2012. So we'll see if that is indeed the case. So this is a beautiful looking beer. Beautiful looking beer. It definitely has this like chestnut kind of brown color. Maybe you could even say ruby red. It almost has like a rust color. On camera, it's going to look... Here's the thing. My camera, I say this all the time, but it really doesn't do the beer justice a lot of times. It's probably going to look darker and almost opaque, but it isn't. Hold it up to the light. Now, it has this, again, more like a chestnut color. Very clear. The clarity's through the roof. Just over a finger of a straight up khaki colored head. Looks pretty creamy, somewhat soap sudsy. But I would say if I'm looking for a brown ale of any sort, I think that would play the role color wise. So let's get a nose. Very nice. Ooh. Tons of toasted brown bread. A little bit of like caramel toffee. A light like cocoa powder. Cocoa nibs. A mild coffee. Not coffee plus tea. Coffee. Mild coffee roast. Maybe a slight like cherry. There's some nondescript, just like darker fruits in here. Maybe a slight plum, something like that. Also a little bit of a nuttiness. But then there's this really nice, I don't know, it has like a slight resinous pine kind of quality in the nose, a touch of like an earthy floral character as well. But you get all that malt goodness and then you get hit with the hops. I guess the reason why I didn't like American brown ales many years ago is because they reminded me of like, essentially like a brown IPA. It was like everything I liked in a brown ale, but you would get the hop bitterness, and I didn't like hop bitterness back then. I didn't like hop character in general going back 12, 13 years ago. So, yeah, I think this smells pretty good. Definitely has that hop kick in addition to the fact that it has all that malty goodness you expect from a brown ale. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. So first things I'll say is that it's better than I remember it, but I'd give this one like a 3 to 3.25 back in the day. Like, that's how much I really didn't care for the style. This is definitely better this time around. However, the nose was way more vibrant, intense, and complex than the taste. Body and mouthfeel. Body, this is like lower side of medium, 5.6%, that's fine. The mouthfeel, while it has a nice moderate carbonation, which makes this a crispy boy to some extent, there is a nice smoothness to the beer as a whole on the palate, which is very welcoming in this situation. However, the taste, I was getting what? I probably said like 7, 8, 9, 10 different aromatics I was getting in the nose. However, on the taste, it's a little bit more simplified, less complex. Forefront, toasted brown bread, 100%. There's a little bit of that like caramel and toffee I was talking about in the nose, a slight touch of like a bittering or like a bittersweet chocolate character, touch of a mild roasted kind of coffee note. maybe a smidge of nuttiness, but everything that was in the nose dialed down quite a bit. I'm not getting any of the fruitiness that I got in the nose. And then the back of the palate, this doesn't have that resinous pine. It's more like a lingering floral earthy bitterness. This one finishes mild to moderately bitter, more approaching moderately. Has a semi-dry kind of finish as well. It's pretty well balanced. The forefront, you get all that malty goodness. Back of the palate, you get the hop bitterness. It's pretty clean as a whole. I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like somebody yeah, it feels like people are on dirt bikes right now. Interesting. Anyway, I don't dislike this at all, and it's definitely better than I remember, but at the same time, it doesn't have a ton of flavor on the palate. Like, the nose was substantially better. And it's a shame because the nose was kind of getting me kind of excited. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be way better than I remember. Turns out that is not the case. It's just slightly better. And yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say slightly. It's definitely better. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head while that fucking dirt bike's outside the park somewhere just sitting there. I don't know. Anyway, the one thing I'll say about this is that while it's better than I remember, the nose definitely set it up for disappointment. No questions asked. At the end of the day, though, I think this is a well-made, enjoyable American brown ale. I just want a little bit more in the taste, and that's pretty much where I'll leave it. I'm stuttering a lot. I don't know. I think the dirt bike got me frazzled. Anyway, Brooklyn Brown Ale from Brooklyn. I am going to give this a low 3.75. I'll go 3.7. I think that's a solid score. Half point higher than what I typically would rate it back in the day. And I think that's appropriate. This isn't the first brown ale I'd ever reach for, but if I wanted a brown ale and I saw this on tap, or I wanted to grab a can of it, I'd do it. It's fine. So yeah. Also, 5.6%. I think, yeah, you really can't tell, which is nice. I didn't expect to. Most of the time, sub 6% beers, you really can't tell anymore. They do a great job hiding the alcohol. I'm definitely stuttering for some reason. What's going on right now? Anyway, price point availability. I paid $10.99 for a 6-pack here in the Buffalo, New York area, although I didn't buy an entire 6-pack. The single was, I think, just under $2, so that's fine. Might be a little bit more expensive or cheaper in your neck of the woods. And availability on their website, they say this comes in 6-pack, 12 packs of both bottles and cans. It's on draft, and I'm pretty sure they have a beer finder. If you see Brooklyn, you should see this one. I think this is one of their like year-round offerings. You might not be able to find it everywhere that you see Brooklyn, but most places should have it. And I would say this: if you enjoy American brown ales and you never had Brooklyn Brown Ale, give it a go. Outside of that, if you're not a brown ale lover, I don't think this is gonna turn you into a convert. But at the end of the day, I gave it a go. It's definitely better than I remember it, but it's also probably not one I'd really reach for in the future, unless I was really in the mood for an American brown ale that was reasonably priced and I could find it everywhere. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this one, and Brooklyn making up for the last beer I reviewed for them, which was their Black Ops 4 Roses small batch version, which I thought was infected. It had, like vinegar, red wine vinegar notes. It was tart and sour. Something was off with it. Whether that was how it was supposed to taste, which I don't think so, or it was infected, something going on with it. And I know a lot of you guys out there told me the exact same thing, that your cans were also not proper. And that was a bummer. This makes up for it. Anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.